All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And I am recording this as usual. We'll share this with the community a bit later. So let's start with a quick review of our action items. The first one was for John, so we'll skip that until he joins, hopefully in a while. Next one was for me to create an email inviting our chapter leaders to join the Enable Hub, which has been done. So I sent that out just this morning. Sorry for the delay with that, but I am already seeing some people signing up for that Enable chapter leader
Right.
space on the hub. So that seems to be going well. We'll just keep an eye on that. Next one is for Ben to review our draft of that email that I just mentioned. So of course that was done. Email's already sent. And the next one is again for Ben to help develop our next message, which is going to be for the general community, announcing the official launch of the Enable Hub and trying to bring as many people into the fold there as possible. So any update on that, Ben?
I think what we can do for that, it's going to be basically an adaptation of the one that we sent to the chapters.
Okay.
I think what we want to try to set up, though, is more that underhanding some of the information to make sure that people are more open to this is not like a big migration, but as an update, as
Yep.
as growth, which it really is. I mean, if you look at it, it's all in one place. This is what a lot of people have been struggling with in these past months. So what we've talked about the last time that we were all together about having some visual information, I think could help. So maybe putting something together to capture people's attention, and then just maybe summarizing a little bit more for the general public from what we had set up for the chapter leader.
Okay.
But
Sounds good.
I think we're in good shape. It's just I can work on that these next couple of days.
Sounds good.
And have something for early next week.
Okay, very good. Then the next one is we had a call a while back, Ben, about migrating content from WikiFactory. Any updates on migrating projects and stories?
Yep. There's a couple that I switched over. The chapter spotlight, and then the story about the Mexico City chapter I brought over. It's interesting because it isn't a one-for-one in terms of just a story and a project separating it. So I put those two together. The project itself, as doing the chapter spotlight, can be the project page, and then on the wiki you can set up the different stories. I'd be interested to chat with you later about how you've been looking at the projects and the stories separately, but they do sort of puzzle together pretty nicely in the new platform. So I think, I'm getting a sense of how that works.
Sounds good. Sorry, let me give me one moment here, folks. I need to silence some notifications. Getting some activity in the background here.
I see John has joined.
Hey, John.
Hello there.
Okay, there we
Hi,
go.
Don.
We don't want to hear any lame excuses about you not being able to take notes, John.
Well, all right. I'm in the car, but I can do it.
Yeah, he can draw with one hand.
That's right.
Okay, so then the last action item was for Bob to put together the spreadsheet that we talked about, laying out some metrics on our different device designs to give them kind of an indicator of maturity, difficulty, cost, popularity, etc. And he did complete that. There's a link right here in the notes if you guys want to take a peek at that. He basically put together a nice color-coded spreadsheet so that each one is rated on a sort of a green, yellow, red scale. And it looks really nice to me. I think at the very least it's a great starting point. As Bob pointed out in his email, other people might have different opinions on some of these ratings. We can always modify them later. If there's a consensus that something is a little bit different, we can always change it. But I think this is a great starting point. So I think the next step that we talked about would be, Ben, if you want to give some thought to how it would be good to represent this kind of visually in the Enable Hub. We could just do a simple color coding like this, or we could come up with some kind of icons to represent, each of these categories: maturity, cost, popularity, difficulty, etc.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, just maybe give us a recommendation on that.
I think the icons would help. It looks great. I mean, just as a table, I think this is maybe just letting this stand as it is totally fine. But maybe what we can do is we have images of each of the devices, and then having icons for these 5 criteria. So grip strength, difficulty, popularity, cost, materials, maturity. We can make little icons for those. And pros and cons, just plus and a minus. But there is a way that we can basically source this to create an article. Maybe we pick the 3 that seem the most successful. And then we have a little story about them with the icons. And then people can come to this graph to see where all the other hands puzzle in. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of feedback and comments. For the general public, though, this is probably too much information, but it's really wonderful to have this as the backbone for any kind of research and stories into the designs that we have. So great job, Bob.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It's too much information because of the way I constructed it. I had, for my own purposes, kept a log without the color coding. You can see it's on the end. So I kept all the comments for myself, just to keep this fresh and kind of record my experiences. So when I decided to color code it, I said, okay, I'll start with what I had and then just expand it from there. And that's why I mentioned pick and choose what you want out of it. Columns can be deleted.
Well, and I do think I think there's a significant group of users that would appreciate this level of detail. So what I was thinking is, as Ben said, we could use this spreadsheet on, I already have the wiki page for enabled devices. I could add a separate wiki page there and just embed this whole spreadsheet as a table so that people have that detail if they want to read it. But then on each of the individual device pages that I have set up in the wiki, I'd like to have kind of a simplified graphic representation of, difficulty, cost, popularity, something like that. And Ben, maybe you can help me come up with that simplified, iconical view.
Jeremy,
You first.
it may be possible to embed a row, not the whole thing, but a specific row of the spreadsheet, in which case each device could include the embedded row appropriate to that device.
Okay.
And each row should, in any case, I suggest, include a link to the e-NABLE hub page.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll look into that. I don't know about the options for embedding custom HTML within a wiki page. I know we can do that in a separate custom page, but I don't know if I can do that within the wiki page.
I think Google may have a way of constructing Google embed links, which shows you only the row itself.
All right, yeah, I'll look into that for sure. But I think there's a couple of options of how we could do this. One way or another, I'll figure out a way to get the table into that wiki, and then I think we can go ahead and do that first because it's great information. Get out there, and then Ben, once you come up with this sort of set of icons, we can add that maybe up at the top of each of the device pages as a quick reference.
That's great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, and I think we should credit Bob Rieger in the spreadsheet, both because he deserves the credit and so that people understand that this is one person's perspective.
Sure.
And that's please allow me to state this concern again for the record. That's precisely what I'd like to see, because I don't want to be portrayed as an authority here. It's an opinion. It's based on experience. I tried to be honest, but I also tried to be charitable in my remarks. And I can see where some of the things I wrote, somebody would come back and say, wait a minute, come on, it's not difficult, it's simple,
Well, it's Bob, and I'll include that note when I post this. I will definitely include a clear note to that effect. But at the same time, I think of when I don't know if you're familiar with like the Apple App Store. They've added a feature where somebody can post a review on an app, And
Yes.
the app developer has an opportunity to respond to that review. And so they'll often provide clarifications of, oh, here's how you can deal with that issue. So, we may get that here. You might have some comments in there, and some of the
Good.
designers might come back and say, oh, here's how you can work around that. And we'll just incorporate that information in there when that happens.
Super. That's good.
Indeed, we might want to take one of the columns to the right. Yeah, let me put it another way. We could use the comment capability of spreadsheets to allow people to add their own notes.
Sure.
And use that as a way of having the document get input and remain alive.
Yeah, okay. I'll see if I can figure out a way to embed it with that intact.
One thing to quickly add, Bob, I think it's a great amount of information, and it's really clear for anybody that's making these hands. It's going to be really useful for doing articles and stuff. It's going to be great to source this and make if we want to talk about a specific hand for, let's say, a school that's doing a project, and we can link to this and say, this is the device that they use and how it relates to the other devices. For the icons, I think it'd be easy enough to do something with, we've got these 5, and then the colors make it really easy. So we can have a green logo, a yellow logo, or a red logo, sort of as something on the side if we wanted to have something really easy to link back to this, to give people a sense of how it's been evaluated. And what we talked about the last time in terms of crowdsourcing evaluations, we can set up something easy like a Google form even, where people choose the device name, and then they can rate each of these on a 1 to 3 scale, maturity, cost, materials, popularity. And we can start collecting the data on this, but I think it's really wonderful to have something to start out with so people can see it, and then just like what Bob was saying, respond to it, critique it. It'll, I think, motivate people to be involved, and then from that we can start sourcing the community about how they rate this stuff. And
Yep.
I think from this we'll get sort of the open dialogue that we're looking for. So great job.
I think that's a great approach, Ben. I like that idea of a Google form to let people provide detailed feedback and contribute to this. I think that's a nice approach.
Great.
All right, so I'll
So
work
maybe that's
on.
something that
I can take a first stab at that. I'll work on the the initial embed, and I can work on setting up the Google form for feedback. I'll let you take a lead on the icons, and I'll plug those in as soon as they're available.
great.
And if I can help in any way, let me know.
Excellent. No, you've already done a great deal. All right, so moving on, I don't have any guest presentations lined up for the weeks ahead, so if anybody knows of anyone that you'd like to invite, let me know. As a matter of introduction then, today we have Tracy Johnson with us, who's joining us to give us some updates about the e-NABLECon 2019. And I linked a document down below under our individual updates. We're just kind of going in alphabetical order, Tracy, so we'll get to you in a short while. But for now, would you like to just kind of give us an introduction and let us know kind of how, I believe you said you're working with Maria, maybe give us a bit of an overview of your involvement.
Yes, hi. Well, good afternoon or morning, I guess, depending on where you're calling in from. My name's Tracy Johnson, and I started working with e-NABLE Alliance with Maria about 2 years ago as a host of a visit to Local Motors, where I was the customer engagement manager. And it was during that time that I actually learned about the e-NABLE community, and quickly became very interested, and also joined the board as part of our accessible Ollie vehicle, which we were which we were introducing to the marketplace. And accessible Ollie is a self-driving vehicle that specifically addresses the features for the needs community. So that's really was my introduction to getting involved with e-NABLE, because I became very passionate about the work of the community. So today I'm here to represent Maria and to share with you about e-NABLECon. She's just got back from the United Nations yesterday, and then today she's speaking at the Black Congressional Caucus in DC. So we got a lot going on. But thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for allowing me to introduce myself.
Of course, welcome. Yes, and you guys always have so much going on, doing great work out there.
Maria's our lobbying arm, huh?
Exactly. That's exactly right. She's, I call her the Energizer Bunny because she tirelessly travels everywhere to really promote the cause. And so I'm working to help her with the infrastructure and getting things a little bit more organized. That's my strength.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, so we'll get you. We'll get some updates from you in just a short while about e-NABLE. So we're just going to go through here our individual updates. Like I said, we just do this alphabetically. So Ben, that would put you up first. I think you're muted, Ben.
Sorry about that. I'll be quick. I'm just getting back into New York, which is great. So I'll be able to work more closely with the team here starting next week. We already mentioned the 5 icons that I'll be trying to throw something together for that. The content migration, we've got some stories to still bring over in projects and how to organize that stuff within the new hub. I think the big plan to work out is sort of now that we have this new hub, how do we start to exercise it and bring people involved? I listed some ideas on the e-NABLE, but I got some really great feedback about being a little bit more precise with the timeline. So I'm going to try to carve that out, the proposal, a little bit more clearly. I'll probably be reaching out to Jeremy, John, Everton, maybe Bob also, just to get a sense of how to sort of tie in a plan that uses a lot of the momentum that's already in place. But really the big idea for us looking ahead is we have this new wonderful community base, not just letting people know that it's there, but how do we encourage the projects to be using it? And I think a lot of it in the beginning is going to involve sort of co-authoring some stories and projects, and then finding ways to encourage collaboration. And e-NABLE is a great thing on the horizon for us to shoot for, to try to basically grow into these new shoes that we have.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay, Bob, you're up next.
Okay, well, clearly worked on the device evaluation matrix. That's complete. I've been spending a lot of time on EWC case facilitation, and the criteria I've been using is anything over 120 days, figuring it's going to take 4 months, 3-4 months under best of conditions to cycle through a case. So I've reached that threshold, working on 5 to 10 cases a night. I've closed quite a few cases simply because I've given people 2 weeks to respond. I've reached out by telephone, and people create cases, don't upload photos, or the photos are not proper, and then they go radio silent. So At present, we have 106 cases total on EWC. 20 are unclaimed. So clearly there is a need for more cases and a better understanding of the process, but we've talked about that. I have, in my travels on EWC, I've developed a colleague by the name of Sean Matheson, who lives in the Portland area. And Sean reached out to me on the help desk, and we corresponded, and he has a very clear view of what devices could be needed, of sizing, of for the more difficult cases. So I have an arrangement with him where he's going to help scan EWC for me and maybe suggest various devices for certain recipients that are some of the more difficult cases. So it's an informal thing. He and I have formed an online professional relationship, and it's working well, and he's been very, very valuable in that. Moving along, we have a new chapter, number 137. It's the Westminster Presbyterian Church in Dubuque, Iowa. They're a youth group, and I've been corresponding with them, and I've actually offered as an experienced volunteer to help them on one of their cases already to get them started. They've earned the badges. And then the customization team has not worked out as well as I had hoped. We originally had 12 people respond. The spirit's willing, the flesh is weak, old adage. We're down to probably 4 or 5 people, and it may go a little lower than that. So I'm trying to see who can truly spend the time. And Jake has been a wonderful resource on your case, Jeremy.
He has.
But I asked him how many hours did he spend customizing, and you saw it, 40 to 50 hours.
Yeah, a lot of
So
work.
it's a tremendous commitment to properly 3D customize a device. Now, that was a very specific customization.
He totally remodeled that. He built a whole new model around a 3D scan. That's a pretty advanced scenario. A lot of the times I think we'll be dealing more with modifications to existing designs.
Exactly.
But
I
think
Jeremy, even half of that,
I think I mentioned this last time. I think that we could probably get better results if we come up with a strategy of using we created a space in the e-NABLE hub for e-NABLE device customization. And if we could start to get some content in that space, maybe start to post some of our cases in there that need custom devices, encourage the people that are doing custom work to post their work and their results in there. I wonder if we start inviting people into that space who have the skills to do customization, I feel like that way we get more of a collaborative environment going instead of, what we're doing now, going with individuals through email. Each person is kind of an island and they're kind of doing their own work. Whereas if we can get them as a team into this space, we can kind of create this collaborative environment where they're sharing their work, they can bounce ideas off of each other. Maybe we could get better results if we can build that a little bit up.
I think it's a great idea, and now with the hub, it's perfect.
John, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say that another mechanism we have available to us is promoting badges for customization in that space and in general. I've noticed that I think that we've got lots of people signing up for the digital badges space, which in retrospect is sort of
well, that's automatic, John. As soon as somebody joins the hub, they're automatically added to the badging space and the devices space. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
But your comment about the experimental badge, that's why we created it, right? Yeah. We haven't publicized it very well.
Well, I think what we have, Bob, is we have one for somebody that has made an experimental device. But I think what we're talking about here is slightly different. We're talking about somebody that has actually done device customization. Right. Somebody who's created a custom device. That might be a different badge we should create.
That's true. Jeremy, if you want, if the space is created, I'll start to populate it.
It is, yeah. I don't think there's anything going on in there, but the space is there. And I think you're already an admin, but I'll check to make sure.
All right. So why don't we leave an action item? I'll go ahead and start populating that space with cases and opportunities.
Sounds good.
Really quick, is Saif still in the meeting? I was going to mention Sam's research. She just finished her project, and it's really extensive. So maybe we can try to
supervising the Sam. But yes, I am here.
Great. So that's related to this customization as well of some of these different designs. Yes.
Yeah, completely. Especially because she was thinking about how we can create designs for younger recipients who might not have the strength to use current devices. And so she created one with a shoulder activation.
And she's done a really incredible job.
So I wonder if we could get her to join us in this device customization space on the e-NABLE hub. I think the key thing to get some momentum going is going to be to get the small number of people that we have that are already doing a lot of active work on device customization. If we can get them to start sharing their work in this space, that'll help us to build some momentum in there.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I want to mention that she has been advised basically a lot by Rodrigo. So it might also make sense to add him because he has been able to basically coordinate her so that Sam advances the the design, and it was also helpful for connecting. So another thing that is neat about this design is that it did connect with occupational therapists. So she did get some input from occupational therapists and doctors.
That's wonderful.
And so I think that we can showcase that as one of the examples of how you can create customized design by mixing in the 3 different players.
That's great. Saif, could I ask you to send me a follow-up email with their email addresses, and I can invite them to join that space then?
Yes, I'll send it to you today.
Great.
Yeah.
And Sam sent me the draft that she's got. It's amazing, but it's pretty cohesive. So maybe I can send some recommendations for her about how we can sort of boil it down to like a one-pager that links to her extensive research, and that could be maybe a place that we can start out in this dialogue with customization on the hub.
Great.
Okay, last comment I have on my report relates to this. I formed one of the customization case team members. Kent Allison is a STEM professor, I guess, or STEM teacher at Mountain View High School outside Denver, and they actually have a SolidWorks class for their students. And apparently they placed second in the state in some kind of SolidWorks competition. So he has taken a generalized case of a wider, of a modification to allow wider, thicker anatomies, and he's given it to his class, and he said he hopes to have some designs within several weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what that comes up with.
Very nice.
And that's it.
Okay. I see that we have Chris Jackson with us this week. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I've been absent for so long.
No problem. I know you've been busy. We're just going through our individual updates here. I don't know if you have anything to share, but the floor is yours if you do.
No, I appreciate the conversation. So I'm just, now that I've kind of got things back under control, Jeremy, I'll be a more regular participant, and we can start assigning tasks.
Wonderful. All right. Well, it's great to have you, Chris. All right. Let's see. I think John, have you or has anyone here heard anything from the Deloitte team lately, from Ed or Ryan or any of those guys? Are they back in action yet? Do we know? Not sure. Okay. Hopefully we'll hear from them soon.
They should be.
All right. So we're anxiously awaiting an update on our new homepage for e-NABLE.org. Hopefully we'll hear something soon on that. And then, Bob mentioned this earlier that, we really want to try to do some publicity on e-NABLE Web Central to get more people in there creating case requests, because right now we have more volunteers than we have people asking for devices. We have kind of a shortage of cases, and we've been kind of holding off on that publicity until we get Deloitte's recommendations on sort of, usability improvements, making the onboarding process a little bit more streamlined. So I'm hoping that we can get to that soon, and then Ben, I'll look to you to help us with, doing some publicity and raising awareness about, the ability to put device requests in there.
To punctuate your comment, Jeremy, I think we have 3,466 users of record on EWC and 106 cases.
Yep, yeah. And as we all know, there is such a great need out there. There are so many thousands of people out there that need devices. Clearly, we haven't done a very good job of letting them know that they can request these devices through e-NABLE Web Central. So we've got to figure out how to get the word out there for that.
And how to complete the process properly.
That's right, and make it as easy as we can for them. So we will continue to work on that. Everton, sorry, John, what's that?
Yes, Jeremy, one of us should commit to pinging Ed Reed, you or me.
Sounds good. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll take an action item for myself.
All right.
I'll put that down here at the bottom. All right. And next up we have Everton.
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, guys. So I'll be very quick today because I have another meeting that started 5 minutes ago.
Oh.
So I'll go straight.
You were late.
Yeah, I am. No. Have you read the Lord of the Rings? A wizard is not late. He arrives the time he plans to.
Right.
So I'll go straight to the point. In my first point, is related to a conversation I had with Maria on Tuesday related to EnableCom. The idea was to use the September webinar to promote EnableCom. So have Maria or someone from her team presenting the convention, what will be going on there on the days of the convention. So to let people know what's planned to happen there. And then we share this inside the hub on social media to let people know what is coming on the date, and let people go there knowing what they will see. What do you guys think about? Because sometimes as we have few time, less than 1 month, the most that we can do now, I believe the most important thing is to spread the word about the convention. So a webinar is good to get a lot of people in one time, in one sitting, and the guys can ask questions at the end. So those questions will be money for us, because we can solve a lot of questions from people in this part. What do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's great. I see that Tracy now has given us a link to an EnableCon guide, which he'll probably be telling us about in a few minutes, and that will be great.
Okay, Tracy,
Yeah, maybe
I don't know if it was
maybe
you
invite.
that was in the meeting with me and Maria. Was you that was there?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, Everton.
I was asking Tracy if.
Yes, Everton, it was me. Yes,
How
it
you
was.
doing?
Yeah, good. It's good to see you again, hear from you.
Nice. So it's about that conversation related to the webinar. Do you think that September is a good date for us? Because as soon as we can do that, we'll have more time to share this before the convention.
What was the date for September? I'm sorry.
I believe next week is a good point, because we'll have time to share the link to the webinar. I don't know, next week or the week before, September 26th, for example. What do you think? I think 2 weeks to.
Yeah. I think September 26th would be good, because we are still, getting all of the logistics finalized, and this year we really want to. We've received requests to participate in various conferences that are happening in the area, and so we think that will also help to promote EnableCon and to bring in some more attendees and introduce them to the community. So I think the 26th would be good.
Oh, for you guys, okay? You just need to set the best time, and I'll help you guys in any way I can. The tool that I used to the last webinar was very, very good. I can present the tool to you, Trace and Maria, and you guys can take a look, and we define if we use this tool or another one. Okay?
Okay.
That's perfect. And the other point is related to the initiative that we have with SciFi, related to the medical team and the medical community, linked to Enable. Now we have a team that is sharing information and working inside a WhatsApp group, right? The idea is to spread that, to create a hot site or a page inside the hub, and start to put all this information there so people that are not in this group can see and start to participate and interact with us.
Great.
So that's the second point. I talked to Saif yesterday, showed something to John too, and the idea, guys, is to open this initiative for the other countries that want to participate, and use the link that we have between Mexico and Brazil to get the countries that are between us, so the Latin American countries to participate on that. So that's the first idea, to get more people to participate.
I think that would be great, Everett, and I'd really appreciate that. I know personally I find it a little bit hard to keep up with some of the real-time communications happening in the WhatsApp group, and it would be great to have a page in the hub that you could just kind of browse periodically to stay tuned into that work.
Yes, WhatsApp is very good to communicate fast. and
Yes.
it's even better to make you hate your phone.
Right.
So WhatsApp is good for a lot of things.
Yes.
So that's the idea. It's a very new idea, so we can see other points that we can plan about that and make it better to start. I don't know, to put this in the hub, I believe is very good because you have people going there and seeing the pages. It would be great to share this with chapter leaders that are coming out to the tool. So I believe this will be very good.
Excellent.
So I will send an email, I believe today, until the end of the day related to that. And I'll send an email to you too, Tracy and Maria, so we can start talking about the webinar, okay?
Excellent.
Okay. So thank you guys. I need to run now.
All right.
Have you all a nice weekend, okay?
Thanks,
You too.
everyone.
Okay, thanks a lot, Everton, and I'll look for your email.
Yeah.
Take care.
I only have Maria's email. Can you send me your email on the chat?
Okay.
Thank you, Trace. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I think that means I'm next, and I don't really have much to report. Continued work on just fine-tuning in the Enable Hub. I mentioned last time that I have updated the Enabling the Future website so that all of the informational pages have been removed from there now, replaced with a single Learn More page, which basically links off to the Enable Hub and gives a list of some of the more useful pages within the hub. So now Enabling the Future is pretty much a blog site, and everything else is directed over to the hub. As soon as we have our new landing page on enable.org, I can change that so that the home page on Enabling the Future directs people over to enable.org, which in turn will bring people to the proper resources on the hub. But for now, it's taking people directly to the hub and to Enable Web Central. The only other update I have is, as I think Bob mentioned this before, I'm very excited that we did finally receive the fully customized finished device for my recipient here in Chicago that Jake has done for us. He's done phenomenal work. He did a complete rebuild of a Phoenix hand by creating a whole new molded palm design around the 3D scan that I took from Ralph's hand. So it is a truly customized device. So he actually created a custom molded palm and then kind of remodeled the interface sockets for the fingers and for the arm guard, and it looks terrific. I'm going to start printing it this weekend in a skin tone colored PET G, and look forward to seeing how it comes out. So that's my update. John, you're up next.
I'll be very brief. I have not worked on legacy migration this week because I have been continuing to be 1 day away from completion of the Moto Gripper project. I've been 1 day away for about 2 weeks now working on it. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and was working on it last night. That's my update. I want to allow as much time as possible for Tracy to tell us about EnableCon.
Sounds good. We'll just cover Safe real quick. Safe, any updates for us?
Safe.
I've been working on writing the research paper related to the interviews that we've done to the different makers, occupational therapists, and recipients. And so right now I've been advancing some qualitative analysis related to the paper. And I've been also updating a document, and that's mainly what I have been working on. Rodrigo and Sam have been, as was mentioned, they have been advancing on this personalized enable device for younger children. And thank you so much for checking checking the document that Sam created, and also thank you very much for covering that Enable chapter, and so that's mainly what I have been up to. Thank you so much, Ben, and that's mainly what I have been up to. Those two things.
Great. All right, and that brings us to Tracy with some updates about EnableCon 2019.
Unmute my mic. There we go. Okay, great. Okay, well, we are still in the process, obviously, with planning and logistics, but the theme for 2019 is the state of science, technology, and our e-NABLE community. And we're going to have it's the 8th through the 13th, and will take place in 2 locations: the University of Maryland, which always hosts us, as well as Hartford Community College. And then closing out on the 13th at the East Coast Rep Rat Festival. And I actually, if you got the notes, put the link for the festival so you can learn more about it. We'll do our closeout on Sunday at that location from 10 to 4. And of course, do our normal review of the 2-year plan and just making sure that we are all aligned. If you follow, we started the general schedule. We're still working on logistics in terms of the timing, but we do have 2 tours scheduled, one at George Mason University, the Center for Adaptive Systems of Brain-Body Interactions, and the other tour, which we normally do at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory, and that's for Intelligent Systems Group in the Research and Exploratory Development Department. And then if you go down further, we have a list of speakers that we are in the process of confirming. And so we have quite a few volunteers that are working with us to get this all organized and together, and also to get the Eventbrite set up for registration, as well as all of the promotional materials. So I will have more to share, as the days go on. Maria and I actually are going to be meeting today to finalize some of this information, but we wanted to share our notes and let you see what we were working on and the direction that we're going. So any input will be greatly appreciated. It's a shared document. And also whatever support that we can get from the community will be greatly appreciated. I think e-NABLE-Con has the potential to really be the shining star of the community in terms of bringing people together. And I think the more we can structure it and uplift it to be able to get our message across. And as John and others have mentioned, there's a lot of need out here. And this is an opportunity not just to educate the recipients, but also educate potential volunteers and even potential donors, to be able to raise funds to the work so that we can be a lot more effective and have the resources to be able to do that. So I think we can really accomplish a lot with e-NABLE-Con if we all work together to make that happen.
This looks great, Tracy. Thank you. One question, or actually a suggestion, I should say. It looks like the document right now is shared as view only. You might want to change the permissions to view and comment so that people can actually add comments within the document there.
Thank you for that observation. I will definitely go in and change that. Absolutely.
This is very helpful. And please let us know as soon as you do have the Eventbrite link for registration. We can talk about how we can help promote that.
Okay, great. Yeah, we will have something very shortly. I just wanted to kind of share basic information today, and then we'll have the specifics so that you guys can help us to push this out.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Anybody else have anything to add or ask about that right now? Okay. Let's see, what are we on today? Agenda number 2. So let me scroll down. We don't have much time left, but we'll see if there's a couple of topics here we can touch on. On agenda number 2, the first topic up is our transition from WikiFactory to the e-NABLE Hub, and I think we've pretty well covered that. Ben made a good point
Looks
about...
great, Tracy, I would...
I'm getting some audio. I'm not sure who that's from.
Yeah, breaking up, John.
Was that you saying something?
I didn't get it, John.
Yeah, your video is frozen and your audio isn't coming through clear.
Went under an underpass.
Yeah, must be in a tunnel or something. All right, well, until his connection comes back. Ben mentioned a good point about kind of the terminology that we'll use, talking about this being an update or an upgrade of our infrastructure. We won't be talking about a migration or anything like that, but just for the purposes of the notes here, it's listed as a transition. And I think everything's going well. We've got some great content coming together in the hub. We've got people joining. I think we've got over 130 people in there now, and I'm starting to see some actual, posts and interaction, and that's great to see that coming together. Just this morning, sent out the email to the chapter leaders, and I already have half a dozen of them that have joined up for the chapter leader space, and I hope to see more of those. So we'll see some new chapter spaces coming together. We're continuing to migrate the projects and the stories over from WikiFactory, so I think this is going well.
Jeremy, you've done a fantastic job on this. I want to
thank you. Appreciate that.
Really, it's because of your efforts. On the chapter, leaders, you'll notice there were a few missing the emails.
I did. Yes.
I will let you know when I fill those in. I'm reaching out trying to get.
Okay, sounds good. We can always forward the email to them.
Yeah.
I think this is well underway, and we'll put a formal announcement out to the community with Ben's assistance. We'll put together a message to really kind of encourage people to join us over here and get more people involved. Anybody else have anything that you'd like to discuss in relation to the e-NABLE Hub right now? Okay. Next topic up here is criteria for new designs being added to our device catalog. So I think we made great progress with this with the table that Bob put together. So we now have some kind of metrics on usability and difficulty and cost and all that. But then we still need to kind of decide, what are the criteria for actually bringing new devices into the catalog. So as a kind of a stepping stone for this, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you go into the e-NABLE devices space in the e-NABLE Hub, you'll see that in the wiki section there I've created a new category for experimental devices or devices in development. And we have, I think there's 1 or 2 posts down there right now. So there's at least a place where we can now post devices that maybe aren't fully, ready for prime time, but we can still at least bring some awareness to them. And then once we feel that they meet whatever sort of criteria we agree on, that they have, they've been tried out on a real recipient, we have documentation available, the files have been shared, etc., we can then just move those up into the actual device catalog.
Yep.
So does anybody have any further thoughts about what we discussed here before in terms of what those criteria might be or how we do that?
I just think we need to sit and discuss what we've already written and shared as ideas.
Okay, sounds good.
Whether
Maybe we
it's
can
a
even get
special
to
meeting, perhaps a special call. It's tough to get it in on the SPC call.
I think that's a good idea. Maybe we'll schedule a separate call for those interested.
Let's have a separate call on it.
Okay, sounds good. Next up here is guidance for medical professionals working with e-NABLE device recipients. So I know we touched on this before. Saif has some team members that are doing a lot of work with medical professionals, as does Everton. And it sounds like Everton is going to work to get a space created in the e-NABLE Hub to share all the activity that's been going on through their WhatsApp group. I think that'll be a big step forward on this initiative. In fact, I didn't think to mention it to him. I'll have to follow up with Everton. We do already have a space created for medical professionals. Maybe that's a good place that we can kind of just use that existing space. I'll reach out to him and see what he thinks about that. Maybe we don't need a separate space for that since we already have that one created. Saif, anything else to report in terms of this collaboration with medical professionals? Saif, are you still with us?
Oh yes. Sorry, what was your question was how was I doing with this collaboration of the medical?
Yeah, just wondering if you have any updates. Any updates about the medical collaborations?
Well, what I have been working on right now is to understand exactly the type of information that we got from these medical, these healthcare providers, and how they are working with makers. And so I hope to be able to share in the coming weeks a write-up related to some of the challenges, pain points, and also opportunities that these healthcare providers working along makers and and also information about what makers and recipients are saying about the healthcare provider. And so I'll share a document related to that. And I think from there, it could also be that we try to derive maybe design guidelines for the community based on those findings. And so I think that I could be leading that. However, I think that it's going to take a couple of weeks because right now my process is, right now I'm working the interview data, getting the insights, etc. Then once I have it ready, I'm writing like the overall what am I finding, and then afterwards I'll be able to derive like design guidelines for the community. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But I think that I could share what I have. Like once I have it, I could share it, and I think that this could be something that we share in and maybe enable Web Central or other online spaces to guide participation.
Absolutely. Well, on the e-NABLE hub would be a good place. Like I said, we do already have a space
e-NABLE
created.
hub, yes, great idea.
Yeah, so we
yes,
have a space
and
there for the
I'll work
medical.
with Everton also because I like this idea about thinking how we can push this also within Latin America. Because the healthcare system there in Latin America does work a little bit different. And so I think that it could be very, and maybe also in general in the global south. So we could also think about, for instance, how we could connect this with India, et cetera. And I think it would be very helpful to have maybe guidelines for healthcare providers in the global south, and then have some, for instance, for the U.S., Canada, et cetera. But I think that we can do a lot of impact here.
Sounds great. Thank you for all your work on that.
No, thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next topic here is, I'm sorry, somebody have something to add to that?
Yeah, John Schell is back by phone.
Hi, John.
And I just wanted to urge Tracy to be aware of the calendar on the e-NABLE Hub and to consider putting a lot of the e-NABLE-Con events in there.
Got it. Okay, great. I will absolutely, we will absolutely do that, John. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, I should add a note on that, John. I got a response back from the HumHub team about our little issue with the calendar where people were automatically being added. And they're saying, I don't agree with this response, but they're saying it's a feature, not a bug. They're saying that when you check, they're saying that when you check that box that says add all members of the space, it will automatically add them to the event without having them accept the invitation. So I don't think we want to use that checkbox. I think we want to just post the event and then create a post in the stream to say, hey, go check out this event and join if you're interested.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Next topic up here is fundraising. So, Bob, do you have any updates for us or anything that you'd like to discuss here?
I really haven't. I've not focused, flushed with some measure of success.
That's
I
right.
have not focused on it. I've kind of shifted over to EWC.
Yeah.
But I will say, but it does call to mind, through the help desk, we got approached by a company in Texas, I believe, that makes hand tools. And the director of development for this company, which I thought was a rather unusual position, but she reached out and they want to engage and partner with us, and they're going to do fundraisers and give us a portion of proceeds from various promotions. And so she was asking questions about how do they do that. So I responded and welcomed her, and I said, here's the e-NABLE fund, and I gave her all the information on that. I even suggested they may want to get their employees to actually become involved and become a chapter, so I sent information on that. So we'll see where it goes. It kind of hit us rather than we going after it. But
yeah, that sounds
I
great.
find that a particularly charming alliance. And if they have a convention or some kind of a meeting, we could send someone to give a talk.
Yeah, that's true, John. Now, she did mention a trade show, And I suspect that's less about talks and more about booths selling tools. But I have her contact. I'm going to remain in contact with her. I said I would reach out in a couple of weeks to her, so I'll mention that.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, we're just about at time here. The last topic on the agenda is enable chapters. I don't know if you have any updates for us, Bob. I think you've kind of given us some updates already.
I did. 137 active, 41 countries. We haven't gained any new countries yet.
Okay.
But 137 chapters. There are 2 in progress that I'm helping through the process. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll have 1 or 2. I would like to just, if I could, since Ben is on the call, I provided some feedback, Ben, on your draft proposal. And first of all, I've come to regard you as a highly capable and talented young man. I approach things as though I was looking at a proposal from a potential consultant, which perhaps in some ways you are. You're saying I can provide certain services for a certain amount of money. And when I revert to that mode in my life, I look and say, okay, great. I believe you're capable. That's not the question. The question is, you want X dollars. What are you going to deliver to us for that? And I would just encourage you perhaps to think about that. And, it's very easy to put generalized words around efforts and outreaches, but where the rubber hits the road, maybe some goals, objectives would help old people like me evaluate if that's a worthy proposal or not.
Sure. No, I think you're right. The proposal, I think, was just trying to structure sort of the conceptual process of how to take this new toolkit that we have and put it to good use. But I think getting some specific projects, really identifying specific projects and the outcomes of that, and probably also tying it into goals for just what we were talking about before about how this stuff connects to donations, how this stuff connects to more resources for our community directly. I think I can definitely do that though. I'm just getting back into the States, so I'm sort of shifting back from being bouncing around to being more situated, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to be in these meetings and also responding to this project. So that what I have in there in the proposal or the pre-proposal was just to get exactly those kind of that kind of feedback from you guys. So thanks for taking the time to read it, and I'll take the comments that you added to the chat, and I'll see if I can resolve that.
Great.
Okay. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I've got another meeting starting. So unless anybody has anything last minute to cover, all right, I think we'll call it a wrap. I'll get a recording out later, and we'll regroup next week. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
You too. Thanks everyone. Bye.